Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far and welcome to today's video where I'm mostly going to be crying from my left eye. Stop it. Which is going to be my November beauty roundup where I share all of my thoughts on everything new that I've been trying throughout the month of November. So if you want to hear the good, the bad, the ugly and the in-between, then keep watching. Okay, so first up I want to talk about this Remedy moisturizer. This is the Remedy for body bumps and it is specifically for KP and textured skin. I'm obsessed with this. I was very kindly gifted this, and like all of these products that claim to resolve KP, which if you're not sure, it's that sort of bumpy skin. I get it on like the tops of my arms and my shoulders, particularly in winter. So I've tried a lot of these treatments over the years, and the best ones I have found treatments like this that I have liked, that I've enjoyed. And what usually happens is I'm losing my voice as well. Perfect. What is going on with me today? I'm just broken. What usually happens is I start using it and I get a bit of an improvement and I think, wow, it's really working. But then it just never improves any further until it's completely gone. And so I just give up on it. That's typically what's happened in the past with these kinds of products. This literally completely got rid of my KP. This completely got rid of my bumpy arms almost overnight. The first time I used this, the next morning I woke up and I could not believe how much smoother and softer my arms felt. And then I got a bit carried away. I started using it AM and PM like every day. And then I felt like my skin was getting a bit dry because I think it is quite exfoliating, this product. It's like, imagine a sort of retinol solution for arm bumps. That's how I've been thinking of it. So I got a bit carried away and my arms just felt a bit dry then, which then they're still a bit rough because they're dry now. So I've got a great balance now where I use this every night and then I moisturize in the morning. And my arms, I mean, if you could reach through the skin and feel them, they're so silky soft. They are now the silkiest, smoothest bit of my body, okay? So yeah, it works, it's amazing, and it's actually got beyond the sort of minor improvement to begin with. What I like is you get the instant gratification from that first use. There was a very noticeable clear improvement, but then it kept improving over time as well. So I like how fast it works because I feel like we need that. We're very pessimistic, okay? We're jaded. We've been lied to too many times. So if it doesn't work after a couple of uses, we start thinking it doesn't work, it's useless. But we have to give it more time. But this gives you an instant, the next day you're going to notice a massive improvement, but then it also continues to improve over time. Although it was gifted to me, I'll absolutely be repurchasing this. I don't think I can be without it now. You know when you wake up and one of your eyes just wants to cry the entire day? Like, what is its problem? Next up, let's talk about the Skin Rocks Cleansing Balm. I was so excited to try this. I know that this was apparently one of the first products that Caroline Hirons wanted to release when she started Skin Rocks, but it has just taken so long to get it perfectly how she wanted it that it's actually, what is it, the 5th or 6th product, maybe even more. So it was apparently very, very tricky to perfect this, but I think they've done an amazing job. First of all, this packaging is glorious. It's like a paperweight. It's a very weighty glass tub, which I love. It feels so luxurious and it looks gorgeous on my sink unit. I absolutely love it. I love the color. I love the fragrance. Oh, it just smells delightful, very fruity of a scent. You only need a small amount, and it had a bit of a learning curve for me, this one. Initially, I didn't really think I loved it. It's slightly different to other cleansing balms that I've used before. So this one, you massage it into the skin and of course all your makeup melts very easily. That is the same. But a lot of the cleansing balms that I've kind of used previously would then sort of slosh off with water quite easily. This one, and it does say in the directions to use a flannel to remove it. And I think that was the thing that is a bit different because when you initially apply it, it leaves quite a lot of sort of residue on the skin. So you would struggle, I think, to just rinse it with water, but with a flannel you sort of really get to sort of wipe it off, and it leaves your skin so clean, so fresh, so hydrated, which is the difference for me with this and a lot of cleansing balms. They really strip the skin and they really can be quite drying, but this, because it has that richer sort of texture on the skin, it really doesn't strip all of your skin's moisture with it while removing everything that it needs to remove. I absolutely love it. I think it's beautiful. A star. Front of the class for Ms. Hirons. Next up, I purchased a fragrance this month that is very, very different for me. This is Maison Mataha's Evasion Bonbon. First of all, this bottle, I can't stop staring at it. One of the most glorious fragrance bottles I've ever seen in my life. This alone makes me not regret this purchase, because even if it just becomes a glorious ornament on my fragrance unit, I'll be a happy lady. Now, I say this is very different from my typical type of fragrances that I go for, because this is very much a gourmand. It's a floral fruity gourmand, which is very much something I don't typically go for. The reason I was intrigued enough to purchase this was, one, Maison Mataha do gourmands like nobody else. That is like their thing that they excel at and are very much known for. I also think the fact that this had caramel in the top and then some florals in the middle and then a vanilla musk combo in the base led me to believe that this would be a little sort of creamier, a little more of an area quality. I thought maybe it would be quite warm and cozy in the dry down. And it also has a strawberry and a charmelot note, which I was so intrigued by. So I'm quite disappointed about this, okay? It's just, it doesn't have the body to it that I wish it had. It doesn't have the dry down that I thought might be a bit warmer, a bit cozier. I think if you read the notes, I mean, this was just always going to be a fail for me. It was my mistake. I think I was hoping for it to be something slightly different. And I am kind of craving something that is maybe a bit more gourmand, but that I can enjoy, and this just wasn't it. I think I got tricked by that caramel note because I'm such a big fan of a caramel note, so I thought it might be a bit more caramelly, might have a bit more body. This is a very light, fluffy, of course, sweet in a fruity way. It's very sparkling as well. You know, it is very true to the notes list. It just maybe didn't take the journey that I was kind of hoping that it would. What I will say is, obviously it's here now, I've bought her, I made a mistake. But I do really like this as a layering scent. You know, if I use this with something like Angel's Share from Kilian, that then gives me what I'm looking for. This sort of lightens and sweetens it a little, and then I get that warmth in the body from Angel's Share. So it's not a complete fail, it's not a complete waste. I will also say this isn't performing the best on me. I thought, and from the reviews I was reading, I was getting a lot of this is going to be really potent. Not a single person, even in my family, has mentioned this fragrance since I've owned it. I've, you know, sprayed it, I've worn it a few days. No one has yet given me a compliment. No one has noticed it. No one has said, oh, what is that, a new perfume? No one has noticed it whatsoever. So I don't think the performance is really there for me either. But for me, this was a little bit of a fail. And I will just note that Maison Mataha, they brought out two gourmand fragrances as a little duo. The Evasion Bonbon, which is the one I purchased full size, and I also got a sample of the other fragrance, which is Brownie Pop. And let me tell you, this is not for me whatsoever. Now, of course, this is a brownie inspired fragrance, and that is quite literally exactly what you get. A very potent, very sickly, pungent, dark chocolate brownie is exactly what this smells like. I sprayed this on my wrist and it instantly made me feel a little sick and gave me a headache. It's just not for me whatsoever. So yeah, I mean, if you are looking to smell quite literally like a really potent dark chocolate sharp brownie, then it's perfect. But for me, Whew, I won't be trying that one again. Definitely not my jam. Next up, I want to talk about my, whoa, I nearly dropped this. Stop that, don't you dare. Next up, I want to talk about my Sonia G Cranes over Mount Fuji brush holder. I mean, is she not the most glorious thing you've ever beholden in all of your days? So I did try to purchase this, I think at least 2 times, if not 3, each time it kind of restocked, and it sells out instantly, and I kept missing out on it. I never managed to grab it when it first released and then when it was restocked. This time round, I was very hesitant because I started to think the universe is telling me I don't need it, and it was like 3rd or 4th time lucky, I think, and I thought, no, I've wanted this for so long, I'm going to check out, I'm going to grab it, and I got my holder finally. I really didn't know how I was going to feel about it when it arrived because it obviously is very expensive. I don't own anything similar. I've always kept all my brushes in little pots, like 6 little pots along my mirror, and so I was really not sure that I was going to really appreciate it when it arrived. And let me tell you, the moment this arrived and I put all of my brushes into it and I put it on display on my little beauty desk over there, I instantly was just so relieved and happy with my purchase. I've never regretted anything less, okay? Never did a single shred of buyer's remorse creep into my heart, because the second it was there, it's changed my life. I had like 7 pots of brushes everywhere. It was a mess. It didn't look nice. It wasn't tidy. I could never find anything. And now everything looks beautiful. Everything is beautifully organized, and it's a joy to behold. And even, you know, it makes the difference for me even when I come over here to film and I have to bring all my makeup. I literally just pick this up and it's got all of my brushes, whereas before I was having to cart like 7 tubs of brushes over here to make sure I had everything I needed. It's changed my life. I've never regretted anything less. I'm in love with it. I think it's stunningly beautiful, and absolutely the second I saw it, I knew it was worth every single one of my pennies, and it was a lot of my pennies. Next up, Tatcha gifted me 3 of their little lip care products this month, and I am loving them so much. So I've got their Kissu lip scrub, lip treatment, and lip mask. So this is how, I don't know if this is correct, but this is how I'm using them. So I use the scrub in the evening and then the mask overnight, and then in the morning I just go with the lip treatment first thing in the morning. Especially if I'm going makeup free, I will just have this on all day. They're so beautiful. All 3 of these products are absolute game changers. The mask is delightful. It's so light and it has such a nice sort of jelly texture. You need the tiniest amount. And I have worn this in the daytime as well, and your lips just look divine, so shiny and jelly-like, and it's just the most delightful treat to your lips. The scrub is perfect. I have never found a scrub that has lived up to my MAC lip scrubs before this one. It's the only other lip scrub other than my MAC that has the sort of sweet spot between really doing a good job and being harsh enough to really get all of the dead skin from your lips, while being, you know, gentle enough that it doesn't aggravate them, it doesn't hurt them or damage your lips. It's the perfect sweet spot. It's absolutely amazing. The lip treatment, I just love having it as a really bougie lip balm. It's really comforting, really beautiful finish on the lips. If I'm going makeup free, I will just wear this all day. All 3 of these products are an absolute delight, and my lips have never been happier in the month of November, let me tell you, because they're hanging on by a thread usually, and this little combo is keeping them alive and thriving in this freezing cold weather. Next up, let's talk about the Shantakai Sheer Glow Gold Face Tint. So this was one of the products I mentioned in my haul video that Chantecaille sent me as they were celebrating their sale, their, I think, site-wide 25% off sale. They sent me a couple of products I hadn't tried before. I haven't yet fully got to grips with the foundation, so I'm not ready to sort of share my thoughts on that with you yet, but this one I have been using quite regularly. So if you see there on my hand, naked hand, Sheer Glow Gold Tint hand. There's very clearly a delightful difference, and let me tell you, I can feel the difference as well. This hand feels beautifully hydrated and fresh, and this one feels in desperate need of some attention. So I have been a big fan of the bronze version of this sort of, you know, slight tinted face product. I've been a big fan of that over the years, the bronzy one, because it really evens up my body and my face, particularly like it in summer. It's that gorgeous glowy, matches everything up but without having to put a full face of makeup on type of product. This one is gorgeous and it leaves my skin with this gorgeous glow, and I've really been liking it as a primer if I want a bit more hydration and glow, if I'm using a more matte foundation. That's how I've been liking this. I don't like this as much as the bronze one for if I'm just wearing that, because it's very close to my skin tone, so all it's doing is giving me a bit of glow and I just want a bit more, whereas the bronze one sort of, you know, gives me a bit of a bronzy effect. And I saw my friend Sophia at Sonia G's Beauty, she prefers the rose shade because that really brightens her skin tone. So this one, I feel like it gives you the least impact as a product because it's more of a closer to my skin tone shade, as opposed to the bronze or the rose, which has a bit more of an effect on your skin tone. So I think it's really pretty. I just feel like it just doesn't do enough for me to like really love it. It doesn't do enough jobs. It gives me some hydration and glow, but it doesn't give me a tint, it doesn't even out skin tone or anything like that. So it's beautiful as a nice hydrating primer, but am I just being too picky? I want more, I can't help it. So next up, let's talk about the By Terry Hyalarunic Serum Concealer. This is a like but not a love for me. I think it's a decent concealer, great coverage, really nice and light and hydrating feeling under the eye, but it does crease a little bit on me, which I don't love. And I also feel like over the day, if it's a longer day and I haven't really set the living daylights out of it, I do notice the creasing a bit more as the day goes on. So it's a like, it's decent. It's not a love, top drawer favorite. Now, the Vieve Skin Nova Complexion Balm. This is still quite new to me. I've tried this 2 or 3 times now. And again, like the By Terry, this is a like but not a love. It's a little more matte of a finish than I was expecting or hoping for. It says in the description it's sort of a natural second skin finish. So this is really going to depend on your skin type as to what the finish is going to be like. And for me, because I don't have much oiliness to my skin, it is a little too matte. It's not flat matte, but it is more matte than my typical preference, you know, with the Shade Illuminate foundation. That's the one I'm wearing today, or something like the House Labs. That's my kind of go-to type of glowier, more luminous finish. So this is a little more matte than I would love for like my top favorite foundations. I do find it to be super buildable and flexible as to the amount of coverage that you can get. I absolutely can build this up to like pretty much what I would consider a full coverage foundation, and it's very smooth. I noticed how beautifully it sits on my texture and fine lines, and it wore unbelievably well as well. I've tried this on a couple of different occasions for quite long days, and I was actually really surprised at how beautiful and the same it looked at the end of a sort of 10-hour day as it did when it started. So I think it wears beautifully well. I think it applies like a dream. Coverage is very buildable. The finish is just not quite what I like, my cup of tea, but a really decent foundation. I like and dislike the packaging at the same time. It has a very precise nozzle, which I really liked for controlling the amount of product, and you can sort of just squeeze it directly onto your cheeks if you're trying to save time, and also for travel that's amazing. But obviously it doesn't have that sort of more luxurious feel, so that's just really depends what you want it for. Also great for mixing, and I did like my shade. I got shade 230, which is a neutral shade, which worked for me really nicely. Pros and cons, for me, I think it's a great foundation. It's just not my type of foundation, if you know what I mean. Next up, we have these Patrick Tar Duos. So I picked up Still at the Club and talked to my team. And these I like, but again, don't love. I think this is my favorite just because it is the more impactful of the two. This is Still at the Club. And this one for sure has some really stunning impact. Absolutely gorgeous, very sparkly and twinkly. Let's say that from now on, it's more fun. Very light catching, perfect for parties. It's just a little dark for me and what I like when it comes to my eyeshadow. And then we have Talk to My Team, and as I spoke about in my palette rankings, this one is just a little too understated. I think it's pretty, but it's not life-changing, and I know I'm just never going to use it again. You know, if I want something, these sort of rose gold tones, I'm definitely going to reach for something from Pat McGrath over these, because that's going to be a lot more impactful, a lot more options. I don't feel like this one really works as a look by itself because the shades are too close, and it's also not really a topper duo either because it's just not impactful enough like this one to be a topper. So I thought they were nice, but I wasn't wowed by them, and I'm not in love, and I just know they're just not going to get much use in my collection at all. I feel like this was the month of like okay. I don't know why. Very mediocre overall. Next, let's talk about Basma Beauty. Really great first experience of this brand. A lot to like here. The foundation I think is beautiful, has a gorgeous finish, really nice coverage, really nice cream sort of consistency, very easy to blend, very easy to build. The one thing I don't love about the foundation I mentioned in my trying on my makeup and movies new makeup video is the size of the stick. This is what I sort of don't like about sticks, is it just really takes me a long time to get all the product that I want onto my skin versus something like the Tom Ford stick or the Dior stick that are much bigger, and you know you just can do a couple of swipes and you're done. This takes more like 25 stripes because it's so diddy. But the foundation itself and the packaging I think is delightful. The bronzer, so I got the shade 10 for bronzer, and I think this is beautiful, and this size stick is perfect for bronzing because you can really be quite precise with it. Has a beautiful, more natural finish, so it's not glowy but not matte either. I really like the undertone of this shade as well, not too warm, not too cool. Really think that is a beautiful product. But the absolute standout for me was the cream blush. Not only does it have the coolest packaging of a cream blush that I've ever seen in all my days, but a really beautiful shade as well. This is just, it's the shade Peach, but it's a really sort of, you know, like bronzed peach. So natural and pretty, really buildable. You can see there, and then if I do another pass, you can see how much it builds. Really pretty understated, but a gorgeous juicy finish to it as well, and the super fun packaging. That for me was the best product that I tried from Basma. Just really, really pretty cream blush, very easy to use. And speaking of blush, I also picked up, as you guys might know if you watch my haul video, the soft peach shade of the Gucci blush. Voice is going again. So I caved and picked up the soft peach shade of the Gucci holiday blush that has that gorgeous holiday packaging. I love this blush. I'm so glad I jumped in at the last minute while it was selling out everywhere because it's so pretty. That's 2 layers, and I know you can barely see it, but believe it or not, if I really build this up on my cheeks, I can get the perfect amount of color, and it's that gorgeous, again, like that bronzed peach where it's almost a neutral peach. Very beautiful, soft, barely there, natural, neutral blush. I love it so much. It really reminds me of Laura Mercier's Bellini, which I've loved for years, but this has a bit more of a glow to the finish. Gorgeous luminous matte finish. I absolutely love this. It's gone straight in my top drawer and I've been wearing it frequently. If you have, you know, quite a loud eyeshadow or lip color, this is going to be the perfect blush that will go with anything, and it just gives you a hint of freshness to the cheeks without arguing with anything. It's not so peach that it doesn't go with a cool toned eye look or a red lip. It's just beautiful, you know, quite neutral with a hint of peach. Moving on to the Wonderskin mascara. This is the powerful mascara, again, that I used in my makeup and movies video, I think. And this was one where I thought the wand looks right up my street. It's that sort of rubberized bristles, tapered brush, and I thought this is really going to be right up my street, but it didn't wow me in that makeup and movies video. I did wonder if it was a mascara that is going to improve with age, as a lot of them do, because it just wasn't dramatic enough. And sometimes mascaras, as they start to dry out, that sort of gives you that extra like volume and thickening to your lashes from that sort of more dry formula. It did slightly improve with age, I will say, as it dried out, but it's still not my favourite. I feel like it's a nice mascara. It gives some volume, some separation and some curl to it, but it's just not wowing me. It's not enough of a wow lash to compete with like my favourites. Again, it's fallen into that sort of like but not love category that so many products did this month, but not Viseart Sireneuse Etendu. This is such a beautiful little palette. I still can't believe I got this for free. Okay, for free with my Beautylish gift card that I earned from my Sonia G brush holder, and I've never been more thrilled with something that was free in all my life. I love this. I think it's so small but mighty. It's got everything you need. Yes, it's neutral, but it's so beautiful. It's more soft glam than real power impact seen from space, but it's really a pretty everyday soft glam palette. So beautiful, so easy to work with, gorgeous mattes, a lovely ratio of mattes and shimmers and satins in here. We've got some real sort of variance with the impact of shimmers, and it's just what you need as a sort of go-to everyday softer palette. You've got some really beautiful shimmers, you've got some more satins, the mattes are buttery and blend like a dream. You've got a gorgeous brow highlight shade that's just perfect, and it's just a dream. It's just everything you could possibly need for your sort of go-to everyday palette. I think it's really nice, travel friendly size. I keep on saying I wish it had a mirror, and I still do wish that, but other than that, I think it's just perfect for a sort of very boring, neutral, soft glam lover such as myself. If I was still working in an office, I know that's what I'd be sort of reaching for like every day, so that my eyeshadow still looks really pretty and better than everyone else's, but in a professional setting. Do you know what I mean? And finally, Huda Beauty has come along to save November with her Icy Nude palette. I love this palette so flipping much. She went out with a bang. If this is truly Huda's final ever large palette format, she went out with a bang, because this is her best palette ever. The mattes in here are by far her best mattes ever. The shimmers are flipping delightful, and I've just really struggled to use any other palette throughout November. I just always want to use this. It's so perfect. I feel like this is my comfort zone so much that although it's sort of cooler than your average very warm toned palette that we typically see, it's so wearable at the same time. It's wearable cool tones for me, that sort of mauve-y tone running through everything. It really helps me not be afraid of using it, versus something like Natasha Denona's Xenon, which I really have to pull my big girl pants on to use. This I can use like pantsless, any kind of pants will do, and I'm ready to use this. Every look I've done with every shade in here, I've just loved it every time. I've never done a look with this palette and been disappointed or it not turn out how I wanted it to. It's just absolutely flipping delightful. You know, I've said before that is it Aurora, yes, the Aurora shade is one of my favorites in there, and I feel like it looks so unassuming and understated, but it's so flipping beautiful. The tones of the mattes, you've got something for every look that you could possibly want to do in here. You've got something quite neutral, something cooler, something more grey, something that's a bit more mauvey, something that's quite rich and smoky. There are so many options. It's so versatile. I feel like you could easily do like 25 different looks with this palette. And there's just nothing in here other than the glitter, which I don't use, that bling shade. And I tried it one time. It's not for me. It's like putting gravel on your eyelids, and my eyelids deserve better than that. So I do wish that that glitter shade wasn't in here, but everything else is just so stunning and pretty, and it's exactly like my sweet spot. I don't really have any other palettes that are this sort of color story, that are cooler, sort of frostier, cool girl makeup, but in a wearable way. I love it so much. I've been wearing it and using it non-stop through the whole month since it arrived. And there you have it. That is everything new that I tried in the month of November. I can't believe we've only got one monthly roundup video to go until we're in 2025. Oh, that's crazy. Please let me know what you tried in the month of November. Did you try any of these products that I've spoken about today? How did you get along? Please let me know your November roundup thoughts in the comment section down below. But thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, and I would love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.